Hi, welcome to Create Art with Jazz. Today's picture will be a unicorn. So we're just gonna hop right in. I'm using the Adobe Illustrator Sketch app on my iPad, but you can also create this with a pen and paper, pencil and paper, watercolor, almost any material. I want you to follow the concept and not the actual medium that I'm using. So I first like to start with the eye because I feel like it brings out the feeling in the picture and kind of sets the tone. And what I do, I'm just roughly sketching around the eye. I'm paying close attention to the shapes. I'm freely drawing this, so I'm making sure that everything stays into proportion with everything. And by that I mean the shapes, like the size of the ear. I want that in proportion to the size of the eye, to the size of the mouth. This is just a free drawing. I'm just having fun with it. It's nothing set in stone, so you may see me go back or make a mistake. And I'm just trying to draw a rough outline, keeping it very loose and very fun right now. The main thing for me at this point is to make sure that the size of everything is in the correct proportion. And it's a cartoon, so you can exaggerate the size of the eye. If you want the eye to be bigger, that's fine. If you want the nose of the horse to be bigger, that's fine. If you want the unicorn's horn to be bigger or smaller, that's fine too. Make sure when you're drawing, you're relaxed and you're always having fun. I decided to make the unicorn a pretty pink color. I'm trying my best not to go outside of the line work because I hate cleaning up at the end, but it's okay. Like if I mess up, I can just go back in with the eraser. Also, we're going to add a background in at the end, so if you're using traditional paint or crayons, that's fine too. You can always blend the colors together and make a nice creative background. So I'm just filling in the pink and making sure that I don't have any white speckles or spots left at the end. And you want to make sure that whatever you use, that the colors work well together. So if you want, you can do some test colors. Just have fun with it. Make sure that the colors will work well together so that you won't end up with a lot of like mismatched looking artwork. I try to use colors that are along the same hue, and that works for me. So now I'm just adding in the hair. I'm not exactly sure what color I want the hair, but I know that I want it to be fun and vibrant, so I'm going to just experiment a little bit. I feel that I'm playing it a little too safe with the pinks and blues and purples, so I'm going to add in some yellow, and I'm thinking about adding in some orange. So now I'm experimenting with the unicorn's horn. I'm using a shape outline, the shape of the triangle, and just distorting it so that it makes a horn shape. But you can also draw that with a pencil, or you can use a ruler to make your lines straight if you want to. So I'm just going in and I'm really stepping outside of my comfort zone right now. I'm adding a lot of yellow and making it very, very bright. Now I'm feeling like maybe a little too bright, but I'm going to remove the guidelines that I made for the hair and just erase those out of there. If you're using traditional pencil, I would recommend just drawing your guidelines in very lightly. I'm using digital paint, so I put those guidelines on a separate layer and I'm just erasing those totally out. I want to leave them in around the horse's face and neck so that that part stands out. But I think I want the hair to just be kind of free and very colorful. I don't want any black in the hair. So now I'm just going to go in with some lighter pink highlights. If you're using crayons, you can use a white on top of pink or on top of red, or you can use a lighter shade of pink on top, and that goes for paint as well. So I really jumped out there and brightened this whole thing up. Now I think I want to tone it down just a little bit, so I'm going to go back in with a periwinkle blue and add that around and cover up some of those yellows in the painting. If you're using traditional paint, you may want to experiment with this and maybe even do it a few times and figure out what colors you want where, because in traditional paint, if you put the periwinkle on top of the yellow, it will turn green. So that's just a note to keep in mind. If you're using an iPad or cell phone app or computer app, you can paint right on top of the other colors, because in the computer world the paint is dry. So in the real world the paint will be wet and it would mix together. Now I'm just adding a little detail around the unicorn's eye, and I just wanted to kind of stand out and be a little more feminine, and I'm defining the unicorn's ears. And yeah, I like my 2D art to have a little bit of dimension to it so that it's not totally flat. So I'm adding in some highlights and just adding in some white to the eyes. This design is totally experimental, so I'm just having fun with it, playing around with the shapes inside of the eyes. I decided to make my shape a little bit smaller instead of using the big highlight, even though I did like the big highlight, but I didn't want it to overpower the picture. Now I'm just going to add in a darker background. I don't want to use black because I don't want to bring down the mood in the picture. I want to keep it fun and mystical. When I think of unicorns, I think of them flying through the sky. So I'm using a darker shade of blue. It's like a bluish purple to fill in the background, so that it goes with the picture, but it also adds a nice contrast and makes the unicorn more visible and easier to see. And I'm thinking about adding in some more highlights to the hair. Now that I have the background in, I feel that the hair needs a little more work to it. So I'm just going in with some more experimental colors. I'm adding in some lighter colors to make it really pop out and stand out. If you're doing this with like colored pencils, you can blend these different colors on top of each other. That's fine. If you're using paint, I would let this dry and then go in with a light kind of watered down transparent white. I wouldn't put a lot of opaque white on there so that the other colors can show through. And this just gives it a little more depth and dimension, and it adds a little more beauty to our unicorn. So now I'm just going to jump out there, and who cares if I make a mistake? I'm just experimenting, and I'm just going to put in some fun colors. I'm even throwing in some oranges and different shades of pinks, and I'm just going to see how it goes. Also, I decided to maybe add like a confetti look to the background. So I added in some paint splotches of blues and whites and light blues. And I really liked where that was going. So I decided to put more into it and just make the picture really, really fun. So it's not your standard unicorn that you see every day. So it's abstract a little bit. It could be bubbles, it could be confetti. But the main thing is that it looks fun, it's coming to life, it has a little bit of animation to it, and it's vibrant. You can also experiment with different shapes. It doesn't have to be circles. You can put hearts or stars. Just make sure you jump out there and try something different and jump a little bit outside of your comfort zone. So now I'm really having fun, and I'm just gonna go all the way with this, and I'm liking where it's going. I'm really liking the energy from the different paint bubbles, and it adds a nice contrast because we have a lot of lines for the hair and a lot of kind of like S shapes and curvy shapes. So the bubbles add a nice little look to it, and it makes the picture really start to pop and come to life. Another thing to keep in mind is negative space. You don't want too much or too little negative space. So the bubbles give it a little more fun to the background and take up some of that negative space. So I'm just feeling my way around. I decided to make some streamers into the picture, and then they were a little overpowering, so I lowered the opacity on the layer. To see more drawing how-to videos, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I release new videos, and give this video a big thumbs up. Thanks for watching. I would love to see how your artwork came out. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. I'll see you on the next video.